statutory provisions, clear constitutional provisions, clear tenures and mandates that people enjoy. They're taking these narratives and trying to create a picture that perhaps the New Dawn government is trying to do this, that, or the other, which is one of the things that you've mentioned is to hound out the DPP. And my answer yesterday during the press conference was very simple. We've been in office 8 months. The DPP was duly appointed prior to our taking over the administration of the affairs of the country. If indeed we had any reason that we wanted for our own political experience or for whatever the case may be to hound out the DPP, would it take us 8 months? Quite clearly, the answer to that question would be no. And so, again, we must be mindful as the people of Zambia that there are unscrupulous people, and I'll use the expression without any compaction, out there that want to take mileage and create narratives that are not true. The DPP enjoys security of tenure under the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia. But that, as per the theme of the press conference yesterday, does not necessarily entail that the DPP is above the law. And so where there are justifiable reasons, where there is a basis upon which that office must be questioned with regard to the way that the functions of the office are being executed, there will be no sacred cow.
And this is where, Honorable Minister, people are saying maybe it could be because of the matter in which the provisional liquidator for KCCM, Mr. Milingo KCM actually, was handled. This is why the story now is taking a twist, that there's a purported wanting to hound out the DPP from
I think
office.
the point that must be made very clear, before we talk about specific matters and specific cases, is that the DPP is not above the law. In the exercise of her functions, she must have regard to the public interest, she must have regard to the Constitution and to the law. She, like all of us constitutional and public office holders, are accountable to the people of Zambia first above anything else. We are accountable to the Constitution of the Republic. We swear an oath and make a declaration to be accountable. So before we go into the nitty-gritty of the conduct in respect to certain matters, we have to keep that in mind. And the security of tenure that is enjoyed, again, is not absolute. And there are processes that are enshrined in the Constitution which allow the body known as the Judicial Complaints Commission, where there is a prima facie case, where there seems to be some misconduct, to inquire and investigate into that and take certain steps towards the continued holding of that office by the DPP. Similar to any other person who holds tenure of office, talk about judges and so on and so forth. And there have been many social commentators. Just this morning, one of our senior activists in the country, Mr. Brebna Changala, was speaking about this very issue. And I'd like us to talk candidly, one-on-one, about these matters, because unfortunately what tends to happen is that people take a one-sided view and they are not objective or neutral in dealing with these matters. And the question was, are we vilifying as the New Dawn government the DPP? And the answer to that question is quite clearly no. Has there been a public outcry about how she's been executing her functions? The answer to that question is yes.
Honorable Minister, stay with us, because we are going to have quite some time for you to clarify on most of those matters. Let's just take a short break.
Great.
Go away.
Thank you.
If chickens are eating, it will be rising. As it is rising.
So once the feed is finished,
Yes.
it rises up to an extent that these two touch each other.
Whenever even I'm at a shopping mall, I've parked like this. I don't have to go and reverse. What I'll do is I'll just put the vehicle on neutral, and then I lock the steering that side, and then I come here, and then start it. Off I go.
Maya na baraganza mwenza pangira mema shops vijama mkati mwenye vijama shops putu mimarites mtiama yaka na hivi.
It is a pad, yeah, which can control this engine, yeah. Okay. Then this is for turning. Yes. Then this is for the hand to move up and down. Yes, and down. Like the way you see. Then this we use to control the hand. Yes, like this.
There shouldn't be anything complex. That's what's just
You be serious. I see a whole lot of complications already.
yeah, no.
Minister of Justice Mlambo Haimbe with us, clarifying on matters obviously to do with the fight against corruption vis-a-vis the tenure of office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, a story which has come under a lot of scrutiny in recent past.
Yes.
You were talking about the tenure of office, and indeed she's not above the law.
Yes.
Neither is any other person. But then again, the logical question that would want to understand is the DPP constitutionally has discretion to enter a nolle, but in this case, do you think under a modern principle of constitutionalism, do you think this discretion should be unconstrained so as to be potentially arbitrary?
And I think that's a topical issue. It's a very important question. It's something that, as we look at legal and constitutional reform generally, we have to address as a people of Zambia. It's not for me to say, certainly, that there should be unbridled power on the part of anybody. But let's also remember that even as one is executing the nolle prosequi, the discretion to grant a nolle prosequi, the law is that there is no reason that needs to be given to the court. But that does not entail necessarily that internal processes and procedures should not be followed. I know I am skirting a very thin line here, because I do not want to be the one to ventilate issues of how we operate internally to the public in general. These offices require discretion. Suffice to say that there is no island in terms of the provisions of the law. One cannot isolate themselves from what the law says in the execution of public offices. And I'm not speaking about the DPP alone here. I would like now to take this opportunity to address fellow public office holders, fellow constitutional office holders, that we have a job and a function which we must execute. And let us do so in the interest of the people of Zambia.
Then, as a law practitioner and minister, are you then saying there should be a way to check the discretion of officers holding such offices?
Well, the way that I'm speaking of, and for the avoidance of doubt, let's be clear, is that we must do everything that we do within the confines of the law. We must self-regulate, where, of course, especially you have officers that are independent and impartial. The fact that they are expected to execute their mandate in an independent and impartial way without interference from any third party means that the first hurdle that they must overcome is their own ability to self-regulate and remain within the confines of the law in anything that they do. And no Zambian who has got the interests of the people and the country at heart should come around and say where there is a seeming error that has been done by any of us, then we should be protected from checks and balances in the correct way that the law provides. In the case of the DPP, no one should come around and say government is trying to hound out the DPP because we are simply saying to the JCC, which is also an independent body, JCC, the public are concerned. We are custodians of the public interest. We are saying to JCC, we're not going to touch your investigations. We're not going to touch how you go about doing your job. We are saying to the JCC, everyone is entitled to due process. And this is why I get surprised, like a senior member like Mr. Changara Brebna would read in between what I have said. The press briefing was very, very clear. Amongst the reasons why we are asking for expedition in these processes is because there is a significant public interest. This is a constitution office holder of a key portfolio.
And because of the public interest, Honorable Minister, the public seemed to wake up to a new twist on the same matter this morning, where yes, there are, statements that Mr. Milingo Lungu could have made, Mr. President. What clarifications do the people need to hear?
Again, those are matters that are in court, but let me not lose the track of what I'm saying. And this is very, very important for me to clarify, because it has been suggested that by speaking on behalf of the public interest as the Ministry of Justice, that we are perhaps in a veiled fashion trying to direct the JCC to take a particular position. And yet the statement is very clear. It's there for everyone to read. No such implication has been given. In fact, what we said is that the DPP, like any other person, must be given the opportunity to be heard and to speak and explain. and obviously exculpate herself if that's what it comes to. So why must the public commentators would twist these things and pollute the minds of the general public against the government of the day by putting words into our mouth? It is incorrect. It should not be allowed, and I'm grateful that there is this platform that allows us to clarify these positions. Our interest is that of the nation and nothing more, nothing less.
Is the presidential office involved in putting pressure of some sort on the office of the DPP?
I think we were very clear that the DPP enjoys independence and impartiality, and the new Dawn government's policy, and it's very, very clear from His Excellency the President's discourse for the last 8 months, is that the rule of law must prevail. There is no scope for the President to, in any of the provisions of the law, put pressure on the DPP, as you've used the words that you've used. There is no scope for the President of the Republic to direct the DPP to give any person immunity.
We could actually get to think it could be so, because it seems like some members of the ruling United Party for National Development and related partners could have been voicing out to say she should be out of office because they think she erred. So, and hence maybe the higher office of the...
And I'd wanted to actually speak to that, and I'm grateful that you've put that forward. You members of a political party are citizens like everybody else, and they are entitled to demonstrate where they believe they've seen a wrong. It depends on what we, the persons that are holding the executive power, do about that. So again, it goes down, it's a matter of logic. When was the alleged initial protest done? It was done more than 2 weeks ago, but you've not even heard a single one of us saying that we will bow to the pressure of the members. By the way, every other person has spoken on this issue. So why is it that others want to say that the UPND should not add their voice to that? Why would the UPND be discriminated in that regard? Is it because we are the ruling party? I think that, again, is being insincere. The opposition have spoken freely and continue to speak freely about this issue. Nobody has taken away their right to do so. It doesn't mean that because they haven't taken a protest that they haven't spoken. They've spoken.
Let me pick your first caller.
Civil society has spoken.
Honourable Minister.
So why must we shut the UPND youth from speaking as well? Perhaps
Francis,
the modus operandi is the question. But
is in Koshu for us.
Yes,
Francis, please go ahead. Francis, welcome to the update. We have Honourable Minister of Justice Mlambo Haimbe with us.
Yes. To comment is that
we are laboring to get to hear you. Your audio is not that audible.
Okay. What I want to say is that we've got a problem with the public perception.
Go ahead, we'll try to get to hear you clearly. Public perception?
Yes, I'm saying that a public perception about the CPP. Hello?
Yes, go on. You are saying there's a public perception about the DPP. What about her? What about the perception? All right. He's talking about the DPP functions and things like that. Maybe you could...
Yes. So I think it comes down to the topical issue of the day, as I had said in my press briefing yesterday, press statement yesterday. But still, we're still ventilating the issue of the UPND youth speaking out. I think we're coming from a time when protests were actually violent in nature. This is an acceptable form of showing discontent. So let's not vilify them for speaking. However, I would urge my colleagues from the youth wing to show some restraint on this matter, because again, there is a public perception of are we as a ruling party trying to take a particular step against this person. I think we should allow for independent members of the public to play the front seat role rather than us as the UPND seeming to be the ones in the front. I would urge that caution from my perspective, and I'm happy to say this on national television. But that being said, I would urge the people of Zambia to also very, very carefully weigh those speaking against this particular aspect.
Let's pick Dennis from Luansha. He seems to have a question for you, Honourable Minister. Dennis, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Please go ahead with your question.
Yes, good morning. I would like to find out if some cases at the High Court, and more especially civil jurisdiction, are given priority, more especially cases of political nature or those involving high-profile people. I've asked because we have a case since October 27th for an injunction application that was filed, 2021 HP 1306. Up to now, it hasn't been heard. My question to the minister.
Or he seems to speak to the expeditious disposal of some cases, obviously, at the court level.
Yes, and unfortunately, there is a general misunderstanding that the Minister of Justice has a say in how the judiciary operates. The judiciary is an independent wing, so all I can do is convey the concern from an administrative perspective. But in terms of the everyday handling of cases and so on and so forth, and I sadly do not have any power or jurisdiction to address that, the nitty-gritty. All I can say also is that I've noted the cause number that Dennis has given is in the general list. Perhaps if it's a commercial matter, he might be seeing commercial cases moving quicker than matters on the general list. But that is deliberate because commercial court is a fast-track court.
His question speaks to the fact that maybe we should have you on another platform to come and generally speak of issues to do with justice in the country.
So we've taken note, and I will assist in bringing his complaint forward.
Great. I want us to go deeper into the pursuit of the fight against corruption in the country.
Yes.
First and foremost, put to bed, was there a meeting between Mr. President and Mr. Milingo Lungu?
Okay, Sam, that question, I think, as I explained last time, now we have a one-sided story by way of a petition and a supporting affidavit which alleges certain facts that have been filed into court. One of those facts that are being alleged are that His Excellency met Mr. Lungu. And of course, we cannot start to go into the merits and demerits of a matter which is before court. But I think the bigger picture here, and Mr. Anthony Wadia was very clear during the press statement. And by the way, let's also be clear that we are specifically talking about the criminal jurisdiction, not necessarily the civil jurisdiction or what happened on the civil side of things. We're talking about the question of whether or not the president would meet with any person faced with criminal charges for the purposes of subverting the course of justice. Very specific terms that we are discussing.
Meaning that they met but not discussing matters.
Did the president give Mr. Lungu audience for the purpose of saying, I'll give you immunity so that you don't face prosecution? That is the question at hand. And the answer that has been given generally is that there is not a single time that the president will meet anybody for the purpose of subverting the course of justice, a person who's in conflict with the law. I think the answer is exceptionally clear. There is no need for us to beat about the bush.
We have the caller, Nigel, from within Lusaka. Nigel, yes. Go ahead.
Good morning. My question to the minister is, I'm a little bit concerned when the minister says we should not allow ourselves to be swayed by the comments being made by these political activists. Does he think we, the public, are not able to make an informed decision based on what we are seeing? Because I, for one, I don't have to hear from the minister or from the other side. I just have to observe what is going on and just make my own conclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nigel, and I'll respond to that very quickly. It's straightforward. Everybody is entitled to make their own decisions, but also the information that is flowing out there is what entitled us to make a decision. In fact, Nigel has literally submitted that he will make his personal choice and decisions based on the information out there. Now, if the information is being tailored in such a way that it doesn't reflect a true picture, if it is being tailored in such a way that it perhaps leaves out certain important facts, how can Nigel make a decision? And what I am saying is that let's not be quick to reach conclusions on the basis of some twisted information or some half-baked information, as the case may be. That is all that we are asking. And we are entitled as government also. My words are the ones that were being twisted. And I think Nigel ought to give me, and every Zambian citizen there, ought to give me an opportunity and the benefit of doubt to correct those wrong impressions that have been being given from from the moment that this court process was begun by the former KCM liquidator. So there is nothing spectacular about that. We are very democratic. Everybody is speaking their minds, but we are saying, even as you receive this information, use a degree of caution and discernment. That's all.
Since the UPND with its partners came into government, we are aware of the stance they have against corruption. It's to fight it to the core, to make sure that service delivery to the people is given without corruption. Are you able to outline to the members of the public, just in case they could have forgotten, the roadmap that the UPND government will take? Because there seems to be suggestions that you are targeting, or government is targeting, politically inclined persons.
No, certainly the target is not for politically inclined persons. It would seem that way because our colleagues in the previous regime, a good number of them seemed to have attached themselves to this propensity, the proclivity to be attracted to perhaps not the best kind of behaviors in terms of management of public resources. I'm picking my words extremely carefully. So the fight against corruption, we said from the word go, we will have no tolerance for this. The president, as the top policy holder on behalf of the government and the executive, said it very clearly: no tolerance for corruption, past, present, and future. That's the starting point, and that's where the roadmap begins. And we said we'll have fast-track courts put in place so that those who are accused have an opportunity to quickly exculpate themselves, to cleanse any allegations that may come across. Or if they fail to do so, they get a due process of the law. We all know that justice delayed is justice denied. So we want a quick process because obviously this is a very important aspect. And of course we want a quick recovery because it's a very important aspect of the country's economy. So in terms of the roadmap, we have achieved that. We have said we'll strengthen law enforcement agencies, and that can be done from several perspectives. From the perspective of the environment in which they operate, do we give them a proper independence and impartiality for them to do their work? And the answer to that question is yes. Without doubt, that has been achieved. Also, the capacity in terms of the human resource leading these institutions also has a direct bearing on their capability to execute their mandate. And what have we seen? Appointments on merits in all the law enforcement agencies. We know that, for example, Mary Chiwa has got a good track record from where she came from. She is a product of the DEC, went to the FIC, and where she performed in an exemplary fashion. And we've seen that she's an appointee. Definitely, you'll be able to see that that is an effort to increase
and the latest
capacity.
development, the qualifications of those handling the law enforcement agencies in the fight against corruption cannot be questioned in terms of their qualifications.
Yes.
They are top-class officers. But where you have the DPP case and one of the heads of law enforcement agencies seemingly, issuing different kind of statements and activities, this is what is raising the concerns that maybe there is disjointing. The law enforcement agencies are disjointed in the pursuits to fight corruption. The coordination
no,
is questioned.
certainly there is no any disjoinder, as if I can use that term. I was concluding a point. You will see also recently the appointment of Mr. Gilbert Piri, exemplary as well. Qualifications, as you've rightly pointed out, are not to be questioned. So you can see the roadmap and the effort and what is being done in order to upskill these law enforcement agencies and make them effective, let them have teeth to bite. So quite clearly the roadmap in terms of the fight against corruption is being followed. And you will see now that we're starting to see fruit.
Are there teeth to bite really, given the maximum power?
Certainly,
because somebody gets to issue an arrest of somebody.
No, just a second. I think let me finish the point. I heard your earlier question. I'll come to it. You are seeing quite clearly there are now a public arrest.
I'm told we have a caller on the line, and he's been on the line for quite some time for us. Thank you so much. Please tell us your name and where you are.
Yes, speaking to Maureen Sabon from Kushe.
Maureen, go ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to make a contribution and a question.
Go ahead.
We have seen the rise of corruption in our country, Zambia, especially when it comes to creation of jobs. So I just want to confirm what the government is doing to implement that there is no such cases in our country, because there's too much embezzlement and patronage. So I just want to ask what measures the government has put in place to make sure that everyone is treated equally and corruption is eradicated. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Still speaking to the commitment towards the fight against corruption.
Yes. And so we'll address that as we go. Thank you very much, Maureen, for that question. So the point really that I was making is that you are now seeing more in the public domain. Is there another caller?
More in the public domain. Yeah, sure.
Yes, efforts are being seen of the law enforcement agencies. We have seizures of significant properties that are currently taking place. And this is just the beginning. And as I said yesterday, and as I continue to say, we as the New Dawn government are investigative based. I mean, let me say the law enforcement agencies are operating in an environment where the New Dawn government has said act in an investigative-based fashion. So everyone was saying, they're just sitting there. ACC, DEC are doing nothing. But they were working. They were working in the background, independently, without anybody interfering with them. And now, with that work, you can see the outcome starting to show. Because they have the policy guideline, the environment from the word go was to say, let's protect the rule of law. Let's protect those same people who are under investigation. Don't do anything until you are sure you have a solid case. That's the legal environment that we've created. And that also answers Maureen's question. We are creating, as a New Dawn government, the environment for these law enforcement agencies to do their job and do it effectively. Now we're seeing the results of months of, obviously, background, hard, strong, objective work being done, investigative.
The bigger results that people can think of and know, which is in public domain, is that of obviously involving Faith, which had quite a considerable amount of monies that which were retrieved, and we know that they went towards the giving of the bursaries.
Yeah.
Notable figures in political circles, again, most recently, the former minister, Lusaka province, whose selected properties have been seized by the law enforcement agencies. Do we see such cases come to a logical conclusion, and members of the public, given the results?
Oh yes, certainly. Certainly, these are transparent processes. These are processes which are done in the public eye. And again, going with our tenets of ensuring the rule of law prevails, Honorable Lusambo has been given all opportunities, and as will any other accused persons, to say he was there boasting and saying, my house was built in 2013 before I became government. Go to court and explain that and show the proof, and you will be exonerated.
People argue in public domain that maybe the pursuit of corruption will end up even trying to pursue members of the public who probably have genuine monies, but just because they seem to have much wealth, that is the problem of the government.
That presupposes, you see, that's the challenge when we have a social media environment where everybody thinks that they are a lawyer and they're an expert at things that they don't know. On the one hand, one will start and complain, just because I've got money, you're coming for me. On the other hand, when it seems that the process is slow, they're saying you're doing nothing. What is the problem? Where are we going to allow people, when the law enforcement agencies investigate and take their time, it's this which is being said. Social media commentary non-stop. And then on the other hand, when it seems that those who have got lots of resources are being followed, they're saying that we are following you, and they assume that there is no investigative process behind that. Let's not have our cake and eat it. Let's, as Zambians, start to know where our lane is, and know that these processes take time and allow people to work. Not every day on social media we are speculating. That is pure speculation. How does someone say simply because I've got 2 million kwacha in my account I'll be looked for by the DEC? No, there are huge businessmen out there with millions of dollars, millions of kwacha that ply their trade in this country. Has anybody gone there to knock at their door and say, are you a criminal? No, these processes follow investigative, highly trained work which is being done.
2530-250211 is the code for Lusaka. Let's pick your calls and let's listen to your questions, if you've got any, for the Minister of Justice, Mlambo Haimbe, who is featuring on the update this morning. And the Minister has handled quite a number of issues so far. Now we are looking into the depth in the fight against corruption. You do have somebody on the line, I believe. Hello. All right. Honorable, the pursuit of the fight against corruption mostly people would think when it's is in the political domain, that's when you're fighting corruption, like some of the cases that have come in public domain. From Kushi, Maureen came in, she was speaking to the fact that even in employment creation environments, there seems to be some form of corruption that is happening. How do you intend to solve those situations? At the moment, we know government is recruiting 30,000 teachers, 11,276
using a very transparent process.
Those are the issues that obviously prompted her to ask that question.
So I had begun to respond to the question by Maureen, and the general principle is that once these institutions have got, I repeat this, I may sound like a broken record, have got the environment in which to operate, then that is the first step. And we are creating that. We've created that. Of course, she also said something which is very important, to the effect that corruption had become endemic in this country. So every Jim and Jack thought it was okay to do this, those who are less discerning of our citizenry. And it is now up to us as Zambians who love our country, who love our future, that we should start saying no to this. There shouldn't be an assumption that it should be left to the law enforcement agencies, it should be left to government alone. It is you and I that have to be proactive and report these matters and say no to this sort of approach to the administration of public affairs. That's the only way we can stamp out corruption. Together we can, rather than us going and making commentaries on matters of which we are not informed. It is hurting us as a people, because we are dividing ourselves. We are now taking the stance where when something pops up in social media, we assume that it is true, whether it's a one-sided story or not, and then we take it all the way to the point where we now start to hate one another and disparage one another, where there is no basis for that to happen. And we have to start saying no to that. The learned Attorney General said we must be responsible in the use of media. And I think let's get away from where we have come from, where the only way we could ventilate our issues was to go on social media and speak and speak and speak. But now you have a new dawn government. We are open door policy. We are open, we are available for engagement. We come to these programs and speak about these matters and are willing to be criticized. And that should be an indication of the honesty and transparency that we have. Let's engage one another on that basis instead of going to speculate on matters where you have no information.
Let's read some of the questions that have come via our WhatsApp line, and so that we can hear what other people have got to say. There's a lot that's going to come out of those, and here is one of them. Good morning, Minister. I wish to know how much the state has recovered from this corruption fight this far, or when do you plan to avail us with such details? Thank you, Alex Chileshe from Mondola. Can we go to the next? Honorable Minister, good morning. Youth from Kitwe. Would like to say I am impressed with the manner you have responded to the issue of KCM. As a youth, I would like to seek a platform to engage you on some issues for the benefit of understanding and help others around us understand some of these matters which are arising. Kindly respond. Good day. Honorable, why does it take so long to clear perceptions of the public by the government? Is it that we have incompetent individuals in offices? Like the DPP case is both putting her in danger as well as mistrust to government by the public. Austin Luangwa. You can answer those questions and
okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Sam. I'm so grateful. Mr. Chileshe, I don't have, unfortunately, the statistics for how much has been recovered so far. I think the joint investigation team is best placed to do that. I would have tried to ask them if I had anticipated such a question, but unfortunately I did not. So please forgive me. What I will probably do is they must be watching anyway, but I'll send a message across to say the people of Zambia want this information. Can you please issue that information through an appropriate statement? And I'm sure they will oblige. So please, thank you very much, an important question, and we'll deal with it that way. from Kitwe would like to have a platform. As I said, my door is open. In fact, for me personally, I have a Facebook account. You just search for my name. You'll be able to find me. You'll be able to find the contact details. You can WhatsApp me directly. I'm open to any discussion which is not abusive, because I've noticed by the way of late that people think that because it's a political office. Just this morning some gentleman sent me a WhatsApp and was very insulting, and I did guide that you are actually infringing on my rights when you're insulting me. We can engage each other without insulting. I know where we've come from, that seemed to have been the way of doing things, but not for the New Dawn government. So please avoid that, because I have a right as an individual where I feel that my rights are being infringed to take the necessary protection of the law. So let's avoid that. It's not necessary at all. Austin from Luangwa, why does it take so long to clear these perceptions? Austin, the reason we're having these perceptions is because a lot of these matters are being politicized. Ours is a function of saying, let us work for the people of Zambia. I want to come away from the past where we have come from, where everything was politicized. This very issue that we are discussing today is being politicized. As we speak, and I'll be very candid and open and clear, the publicity chairman, or whatever he's called, Mr. Nakachinda, for the opposition PF, has been on radio politicizing this matter and speaking untruths in the process. So this is why you see that it becomes a propaganda game instead of being a game about the true interests of the Republic. The issue of KCM is a huge issue. That's a huge national asset. So for us, our job is to make sure that the asset is protected as government, and to make sure that the interests of the people of Zambia are protected in that process, rather than dealing with propaganda and speculation and all these sorts of things. And unfortunately, we are coming from a culture where, in order for people to mask the need for them to work for the Zambians, the environment was one which was toxic, and we are allowing that to come back as Zambians by giving some of these people a platform for them to speak on matters which really don't help the nation in either way. So ours, in other words, has been a focus on telling the people of Zambia what we are doing.
In view of time, Honorable.
25.7 million in CDF, free education and so on. That's what we are talking about. It's what matters for you.
Let's have you now
Jobs,
update the nation as regards,
rather than this sort of speculation.
Indeed, legislation and constitutional reforms
yes,
that are intended to be made.
Okay, we have been clear and open. The Ministry of Justice has given everyday updates, and the drive remains the same. The priorities remain the same. Legal reform is ongoing as we speak. There has been some suggestion that perhaps the ministry is not doing the best that it can. Everybody knows that, first of all, we are coming in a new dispensation. The first session of Parliament was one in which we dealt with the question of budget. That was the preoccupation, and the budget was passed 30th October, I believe that was 29th, 30th October, and then the necessary legislative work had to be done, what are called the budget bills, the appropriation bill, and all those various little areas where the budget was to get required certain changes to legislation, Income Tax Act, and all those were being done. That was a preoccupation. In addition to that, the legislation that had been prepared in the past months and years, which was supposed to be presented before the House, needed to go back so that it is checked for alignment with the aspirations of the people of Zambia and with the ideals of the New Dawn government. That process is a long process. So your Public Order Act, there was a bill, there was a draft that was available, went back. Stakeholders are looking at it. Information, access to information bill, likewise. Similarly, all these critical pieces of legislation.
Is there a time frame attached to each?
All of them gone back. The time frame is yesterday. Our ideal is to make sure that these provisions of the law, these draft provisions of the law, are before the public, either for enactment and so on and so forth, as quickly as possible. But of course, we cannot drive that timeline as a Ministry of Justice, because we take instructions. And I laugh when people who were previously in government want to pretend that they don't know what these processes are. There are at least 4 internal legislative processes that have to be followed before a bill is ready for presentation on the floor of the House. There is internal legislation, there is the Parliamentary Liaison Committee, then the Committee of Cabinet Ministers, and then finally, entire Cabinet has to approve. And everybody knows that those processes
our
take
last
time.
Caller for this morning. Mr. Soko is calling us from within Lusaka. The Honourable Minister is listening. Mr. Soko, go ahead. And unfortunately,
We
that
seem
tone
to have
doesn't.
lost him, unfortunately.
Indeed.
So all of those processes take time, and our drive is to ensure that we have more draft bills.
My producer tells me that the question that Mr. Soko wanted to ask was, why is there seemingly a leakage of government information on social media?
It's unfortunate, and I don't know how Mr. Soko expects that we should be able to answer it. What I can say is that there will be unscrupulous people in every institution. There will be a situation when you hand over power from one administrative regime to the next. Those that do not buy in the vision of the new administrative regime who probably do things that they ought not to do. And a typical example, of course, is the confidential letter between the DPP and the office of the Director General of DEC. Several other pieces of information have gone out. These I could put down to a large degree to some teething problems and, of course, to this whole politicization of the affairs of government. But we are not sitting idle. We're stamping it out. Those who involve themselves in those processes should understand that the handbooks are very clear, the terms and conditions are very clear, under which we function as government individuals, and the breach of confidentiality or breach of secrecy has consequences. And so there will be outcomes for those who involve themselves in that. So again, going back to the legislative process, we have the next session of Parliament in June. Most certainly, many pieces of legislation, draft pieces of legislation, bills as it were, will see themselves being put forward. For example, I know for a fact that the Child Code Bill will be one of the first to be put forward.
Which ones amongst those that you would personally want to have them passed as soon as possible?
Well, of course, the priority, not for me as a person or as an individual, or even as Minister of Justice, the priority for the New Dawn government as a whole, and His Excellency has been very clear on these, is, for example, the Public Order Act. It will have to come as soon as possible to the floor of the House. As Justice, we want to work on the Penal Code and the Criminal Procedure Code. We've had some work which has been pending for 11 years, concluded recently by the Zambia Law Development Commission. We want that work to reach fruition. So we are actively looking at these two pieces of legislation because also they speak to our freedoms as people, and even the smooth process of the criminal justice process, which in the past has been used as a weapon. We want to use it rather as a correct tool for the correction of the ills that may be in society. And one of the ideals we want to achieve, for example, through that, is to get rid of some of these oppressive pieces, oppressive laws, as it were, oppressive provisions in the law. Questions of defamation of the president, all those aspects, and there has been debates around whether the death penalty should continue. All those are aspects that we are actively looking at. So while our detractors and the opposition are busy talking from an uninformed position and making allegations that we are doing nothing, in fact, our focus is to work. That's what we have been putting in place.
And we hope that, and the Zambians obviously will hope that you are going to work together with the opposition to come up with
we work with all Zambians,
something
all
that's going to be tangible for them, be it in the constitutional reform process.
I mean, we understand that they're trying to make themselves relevant, and I know that probably this is not what our show is intended to do, but I think let us all realize at some point that we must stop politicking and we must work, and we are there to work. We're there to work with everybody. We've written to these stakeholders and they've responded, and they will not tell you that right now, but in the background we are working with them. Whether we agree to disagree is a different matter altogether. The important thing is that everybody is getting a platform in the interest of the people of Zambia. That's where we must focus.
Honorable, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. I didn't realize that time flies so fast.
We will certainly look forward to having you next
I am available. Thank you.
Great. That's Minister of Justice, Honorable Mlambo Haimbe, speaking to us on government's stance on the fight against corruption, as well as the issue of the Director of Public Prosecutions that's been in the media in recent past. My name is Samuel Mechishi, together with my sign language interpreter, Sharon Akufuna. We will be with you again tomorrow at the same time on The Update. Good day.